Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I hope everybody's having a wonderful morning. Evening. I'm all over the place. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. Today is going to be epic. Today is going to be very, very epic on our live stream. And again, we are live streaming from all different places. safetyfm.com, the radio station, safetyfm.live. So I hope everybody is able to catch us here. We got a good event coming up. Got a good, very, very special guest. But before we dive into that, let me go ahead. And again, this episode, this live stream is sponsored by Encamp. If you don't know who Encamp is, they are a platform that are revolutionizing the way we report our tier 2, the way EHS professionals audit and have everything together. So again, without further ado, here's a little ad from our sponsors.
Tired of scrambling over Tier 2 EPCRA reports? Encamp's got you covered. Their easy-to-use platform supports Tier 2 portals in all 50 states, so you can submit your reports from every facility, all from one modern system. Stop dreading Tier 2 season and take back your Q1. Learn how Encamp is changing the way EHS professionals stay in compliance. See more at encamp.com/X-Factor.
All right. Well, there we go. That was our sponsor. So without further ado, let me get in here and bring our very, very special guest, Emily Elrod, to the live stream. And of course, technical difficulties as always. Back at it. Those that didn't see me, I'm back. So like I said, I'm bringing Emily to the stream. Here we go. Hey, Emily, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Good. It's good to have you. And look at that. How did I know that the first person that was going to be in the chat box, my man, Nathan Bennett.
Love you, Nathan. You're awesome.
So, but those that don't know Emily, I met Emily through some of the stuff that Nathan was doing, and I had the visual, got to put it all out there. I have, where she's from, Workzbe. It definitely is unique how you incorporate all the work wise, the live wise, factors in that, as well as, the pink ribbon that we put on this overlay and what you're getting visually. Again, it's October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I have to put it up there. My grandmother, just a little backstory, had to, fight breast cancer. She, defeated it, kicked it in his butt. Now she's, living a very healthy life. So I got to commend her on her battle and on her strength. So it's one of the things that we want to touch on. But enough about me. Emily, thank you for being with us this evening and taking time out of your day, your evening, to come bless us with a little bold truth about safety. So tell everybody about yourself. Who is Emily?
Cool. I am a person who loves humanity. I always joke that I love humanity, but I hate grammar. I love to get nerdy about how nouns are basically affected by different nouns, so person, places, and things. And so that's kind of what I do. I get in and I'm a physiologist, so I know the body pretty well, and I am interested on how it impacts people.
Nice. So physiology, how'd you get into that?
That's a good, well, long story short, I was going to go to med school, and a lot of doctors said, don't go to med school. So I didn't go to med school.
Oh, nice. So, and when I seen your content that was being put out there, I commented in on some of Nathan's stuff, and Nathan put that he was looking at one of my live streams, and this is how this lovely world of networking, especially in COVID, has come about. Tell us a little bit about the video that you made in regards to the X Factor, because we got to know. You're on the X Factor. We got to know.
Yeah. Okay. Nathan asked a question about basically what your X Factor is. And I have a show, a podcast called Unapologetically Bold, I'm Not Sorry For. But even my personal self, like, it's hard for me to step out and be like, I know what my X Factor is, but to not look like braggadocious or like some like big head. Like, I know mine's wisdom, like taking knowledge and putting it in action. Like, I know that's my thing. It's been my thing, and it's what I do and I love. But to say that out loud, like the first time I was like, and what I talked about is having a humility hangover. Like, I had to like hold that back. Like, it's okay. Like, I can say that. I do it for work,
Yeah, no. And again, knowing your X Factor is, and I think that's one of the reasons we were talking beforehand. Before the X Factor came about, I was the Safety Guy Rundown. Had 3 episodes. They might come out maybe sometimes in 2021. I'll bring them out on what I sounded like. And I mean, it's straight to the phone. But I had to revamp and reevaluate what I was going to do and how my why was going to, be brought into, this. And the X Factor, everybody has a uniqueness about them. Everybody has their own personal story and spin. So, made it the X Factor safety because I'm in safety, and I've networked and been able to have these types of talks. So we're going to dive into the bold truths about safety. So what's one of the bold truths that you want to give away and give our listeners across the the multi platforms that we're streaming to, but also the people that are in the chat right now?
Oh, how bold do we want to start off with?
Go all the way.
Let's go all the way. Okay, so let's just go from the background a little bit about how my stuff works too. That I have an engineering background, so I love how things are designed, processes. Again, probably why I love physiology so much, the processes. So do I per se have a true like safety background where I can quote you every OSHA guideline? Nah, I'm not your girl for that. But I am your girl to tell you. I am your girl to tell you some truths about how humanity works and how humans work. The top one, the first one we'll talk about, is the one I hear probably the most, that safety is first, or safety is our top priority. That one ticks me off probably the most, just from the aspect of how many safety professionals have been cut during this pandemic. You going to tell me safety's your top priority, but yet you look at all these things. And so whenever you say those things and then priorities shift, like I own a business, priorities shift, life priorities shift. And I don't want to have something that shifts. And I don't want safety to be something that shifts. So what I talk to a lot of people about is that safety is actually a core value. And so if it comes from a lens or a filter, it's a lens or a filter, that's what safety should be viewed through. So whenever you have a project or you have something, you look through that lens. And the cool thing of it is that your body actually already has that lens for you, because nobody remembers what serotonin is. I literally call it the safety cop of the body. And our bodies have a unique way to tell us if we're safe or not. But there's too many times that we don't look into or feel like it's in your gut. Serotonin, actually 90% of it is in your gut. And every safety professional or every human has probably had a gut reaction to something and like, I probably shouldn't do that. But yet they don't lean into it. So that's probably my first one. I would say is definitely going in that safety is not a top priority. So please, for the love of God, quit saying it.
Gotta play that. And again, you touch on such a great point that safety, if it's a top value, core value in your organization, in your actual day-to-day function, that wouldn't be the first personnel team that are on the chopping block. Yes. And again, COVID-19 happened and it definitely ended up, changing a lot of the way business was ran and is run across the board, how things are happening across the board. But to just go ahead and let somebody go, because again, they think of it, and we talked about this yesterday. Think of it as a cost versus an investment. Having been in the C-suite, I understand the business portion of it, but it's an investment. You have to invest in your people for them to help your bottom line, period. That's just me.
No, and I've been blessed because my father, he's had a successful business for 25 plus years. And what he has always taught me, and it's something that I do in my business, is my bank account will reflect how much I care for my people. Hands down. That will show it with the hard work and my dedication to my people. They go above and beyond and do amazing things for me. But if I'm over here saying, hey, you need micromanaging or putting people I call psychologically unsafe positions as well, looking at that and just say, hey, do as I say, be my little robot. And I only care about profits, they're not going to come. They won't. They'll come for a short period, but it's not a long-term game.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And some of the chats, again, Nathan, love you, brother. Be bold, sis. Be very bold, he said. Robert, Carvel businesses think that they can do it on their own. Then here come the trouble. No one is watching safety guidelines now. And guess what? Nobody's watching the safety guidelines. We're doing stuff ass backwards. And again, those of you that are watching and tuning in on both the radio station and the live stream on all of these platforms, there might be a little cussing going on my end. I don't know about your end, Emily. And I know, kids around. If you got kids around, we'll try to keep it as PG as possible. It might, go into, some PG-13. And but again, just that forewarning. I forgot to let everybody know ahead of time. But again, thank you for that. Good words to live by. And it's true. Again, if you have those values set in place, safety doesn't, it's not in the mix. It's there to help everybody.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's literally ingrained in you. Like your physiology literally has that. So safety is one of the big ones, rewards another one, love, and then anger, emotion, care, connect. It's all kind of tied up in one. So it literally is something that your main humanity is based off of. But yet I didn't see profits in that. Yes, we have to have money. But the thing is there's two sides of the equation. You have to look at both. And I think that the cool thing here is in about 3 to 5 years, looking at the people that cut, some of the people oriented, not making money, areas and seeing how they actually pay off. It's going to be interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely. And what's crazy is that they cut those people. They cut the budget. They cut, furloughed, laid off a whole bunch of people, good people that were trying to make a difference. And now those people are going to be at other companies, at other competitors, and you're going to see what is going on in regards to, again, you say 2, 3, 5 years. It'll definitely pay off, and see what's going on. Nathan said that should be a song, Be My Little Robot. I love it. I love it. So what's another bold truth that you want to give our listeners?
So I think a lot of times the definition of safety may be a little bit different. Mine is possibly. But for me, safety is not, again, going because it's literally in our body. It's not this policing. And safety is actually a relationship, and it's a deep desire and respect of other humans' lives, your life, but also other people's lives. And I think that's sometimes missed, that it's more of a checkbox.
No, and again, that right there, you said more of a checkbox. How does that elaborate a little more on that?
Because sometimes I feel like they know they have to have it because it won't make OSHA pay anything. But it's also the other aspect of they're doing it because they know they have to have it, but they don't really believe in it at times. When there's something comes up, they're like, oh, let's call them, let's have them fix it. Let's investigate. Let's look at all these things. But the reality of it is it's only whenever there's a fire are they cared about. And it's not looked at as a one part of humanity and how a human's designed. 2, it's not looked as a necessary reason to have it. It's a cost, and how much is it going to cost them?
Got you. No, now, and I was listening to you right before we got on, listening to your episode with Jay Allen, and you said some pretty good stuff on there. Not to shamelessly plug Jay Allen, who's probably listening to this live stream right now. But those that don't know, Emily is now part of the Safety FM family. She has came over, and good, bad. What do you think? What do you think so far?
So far it's been a fun group, as they say, a family. So everybody's reached out and been very helpful, and I'm excited just to continue. The thing that I love is that Jay's vision of bringing parts to the unapologetically bold part to Safety FM in that aspect that we touch on humanity again. You're probably gonna hear that word a few times with me, but it's something that's important for people to understand that there's a people side of the equation to all this, because it makes me think of one of the things that I hear a lot, going back to a bold truth, is that, and it drives me insane, another one, that every accident there's no accidents, the kind of rule that there's no accidents.
Everything's preventable.
Everything's preventable. Sorry. It's not.
No, it's not. It's not. Again, there's the human factor. And this is one of those bold truths that everybody, I hope, whatever CEO, COO, safety director, regional safety director, again, not every accident is preventable.
And
why?
I think
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's important to note too, from the aspect of, I come from the wellness realm, and in the wellness realm, everything's preventable. No, it's not. If you actually look at how the body works, there's things that you can help prevent on: sleep, food, mood, and movement. But do you know the number one time for a heart attack? 5 a.m. shoveling snow. Or that the lighting that you have in coffee shops will have more of a yellow tint so that you'll eat more and you'll drink more coffee because you're more likely to go to sleep. The people that you're around, your environment, your culture, those actually have greater effect than actually your sleep, food, and movement. And so you can't predict everything and you can't control everything. Not everything is controllable. So there will be accidents.
Okay, and then we're going to our chat box. Nathan Brayman, safety shoots itself in the foot by measuring failure and trying to reduce failure rather than measuring successes and building upon them. Then we can celebrate the successes. That is true, and that's a big portion of building on the successes, on the wins. So that way when something happens, okay, something happened. Let's look at it. Let's check it out, and let's reflect as a whole. How do we get better? Everybody, not just, oh, okay, Jimmy, you got hurt. Now you're the bad guy. No. And whoever is Jimmy out there, I'm not really talking to you, Jimmy, but that's the first name that came to my head. But again, and it's to place blame is not one of the things that you should be doing, especially right now. Hold on to those good safety professionals that you do have, those good personnel, those good admins that are there actually trying to make a difference to help your bottom line. Because again, if they jump ship, if you let them go, they go to a competitor, guess what? They're going to make their successes happen somewhere else. And then you're going to be, like Nathan said, shooting yourself in the foot because you made that change.
Mm-hmm. And it's a witch hunt that sometimes they'll go on. And who wants to work for people that go on witch hunts? Oh, let's find the hot spot. Okay. Then well, what other factors happen? What if he's going through a divorce? Or what if she has 2 kids and one's acting up right now and they don't know how to deal with it? There's so many other factors. Or what if, for God, it actually was the equipment that failed? You can't predict. And the cool thing is if you actually look at research and science, when you engineer things and you create things, you do it without basically where it can't fail. You have a 98%, it's going to work. We're on humans on the research side. We're happy if you get it right 20% of the time, and we can call it actually a thought, or we can say it's actually kind of valid to a point. And so that's the different. That's an interesting twist on it, is that people want to control things that are literally uncontrollable.
Oh yeah, definitely. And back to our chat box. What? Not everything is preventable? Mm-hmm. How can this be? I think that's Jay Allen. It just can't. It's not everything is preventable. And again, we're talking about the human factor in everything that goes on. And like you said, you being an engineer, you like the processes, right? The processes that come and stem from those types of things. But and then going a little further and a little deeper, getting into the safety side. Well, now you see the processes that a person has, and then you dive into behavior, and then you dive into well-being and mental health, and how it's all affecting and tying to them doing their job. Mm-hmm. I usually say we are in the people industry. I'm all about helping people.
And that is so true. And I'll tell a quick story that really solidified it with me, because I always talk about my husband, and he does bare hand work. So basically he does transmission, high voltage. You can only do high voltage with bare hand, which again, not my favorite thing. But all that to say is my husband's has always been about safety. That's just one of his things. But one day he was on his job like everybody else, just doing his thing, and they were trimming some lines with a helicopter. Well, and all he knows is he hears a crash, and he doesn't know anything else. All he does is he's like, guys, let's get in. The helicopter actually had crashed. And he goes and he has his side-by-side. He gets on it with his 2 guys. One thing I think is very key, and I'm very proud of this and I always note this, is that he had the awareness right then as a leader. So leaders are huge in the safety industry. Leadership to know that some people may not be able to see that safety incident. Mm-hmm. Not everybody can deal with a safety incident.
Right.
Because it can be gory, it can be bloody, and it can be real. And the thing that came from it is he came over there. He tried his best The guy, literally, the seatbelt was wrapped around the guy's neck. He was barely living. My husband tried his best. You know, he was alive whenever he left, but unfortunately the man passed away. Mm. And that vision that stays in his head. But the thing with that really got me the worst is that there was of that company, or it wasn't with that company. It was 2 different companies. So not my husband's company, another one that was doing the trimming service. Mm-hmm. The guy came out that was looking at it. He was a high exec because it was a pretty interesting event. Of course, it's an anomaly. Couldn't predict it. They did all their safety checkoffs. But that guy had the audacity to be like, okay, I'm missing my party at a top CEO event. Can we wrap this up? Wow. A dude freaking died. And that's what you're going to say.
Wow.
So not only just dealing with the thought process of that one person and trying to have the awareness to control yourself and not go off the rail on another human, but then the next day, the wife came to the work site and said he didn't know who it was, but he goes, "Can you take me where the crash was?" And then she told the story and just told about the man and everything and just how amazing he was. And all I could think is like, they don't talk about this in safety. Mm-mm. They don't tell you whenever you see people with their fingers getting ripped off. They don't talk about the humanity side of it. All they see is the claims, and that's all they care about. And I think the one bold truth that a lot of safety people miss out is they don't tell the stories. They're not all fun. They suck. A lot of them suck.
Yeah. No, and again, you know, one of our brothers at the Safety FM network, Sam Goodman, wrote a book about it. Safety sucks. Mm-hmm. It can suck sometimes. And again, it's for me, it's the best profession in the world. I love what I do. I love the impact that I'm able to make. But not every day is going to be sunshines and rainbows. Some days are going to be very dark and very cloudy, for the simple fact that stuff happens that we cannot predict. And again, thank you for sharing that, Emily. I mean, that right there is a big driving factor. You know, it happened. It's personal. So, you know, to make the change because something happened in your life. I mean, wow, that's great. And let's see. Nate Bennett, my man, lighten up the chat. And he said, Blake Elrod is an awesome dude. Love him. Thank you, Nate. I greatly appreciate you being in here. You know, and again, like you said, they don't teach you this as a safety professional getting in. They don't teach you this type of stuff that happens real world in college while you're learning the theory. You know, they might show a couple of pictures, but they do not show you and prepare you for tailoring to going to an actual gory scene. And I just, that's one of the bold truths that, some stuff cannot be taught. You have to live it. And, you have to know that shit's going to get real. Pardon my French.
And your mental health matters because your pride is not going to make that go away from your head. And it is okay to see a therapist. It's okay to talk to your counselor. It's okay to talk to a mentor. And that's where I come in a lot of the times is talking about the mental side of this whole game too. That one, safety is important. It's in you, but also you have to have a way, an outlet to de-stress on this stuff.
Oh my God. If you didn't have that release or that decompression after those tragic events that you have to, that you go through, you would not make it. You would, be out there just in the world in a very dark place, but you have to be able to reach out. And that's the first step, believe it or not, to, with any safety professional, any new professional that's in the trades, reach out to somebody.
Yes.
If you have something on your mind, if you have something that you need to talk about, again, reach out. That is the first thing. And we, as a community, and I say that community because there's a big safety community out there that is willing to help. We're here. We're here to help. Nathan said, "Oh crap, I missed college." Hey, it's okay. I'm in the same boat with you. Yeah, I didn't go to college. Trust me, I didn't go to college. lots of experience, years of experience. But
I went to
again,
too much college, so it's okay.
no, that, and again, it's good. And you went, for engineering, and you did what you did to become an engineer. So
Well,
and
I
it's
went
great.
for physiology. I was actually an engineer because my father was an engineer, and I've been doing it since I was 10 years old. So I could out AutoCAD anybody by the age of 13. So technically no degree with that, just tons of freaking experience.
Hey, and that's where that again, and we had the discussion, not too long ago on, the great debate that's going on now. Is it experience that people are looking for? Is it a degree that people are looking for? Is it a mix between the two? Do you have to have a designation? Are you good with just your experience and maybe a OSHA course, a OSHA 30, maybe an OSHA 510 or 511, that type of stuff. So it's definitely good to, to see both sides of the fence.
And I say on that, it's mindset for me.
Oh, hold that thought, because we're going to get to that. mental health matters. Yes, it does. Jesus, thank you for being here. Will, it is a must to talk to someone after something like that. Yes, it is. I cannot stress that enough, especially any type of bad, gory accident, fatality. I know Nathan said my first was a 480 arc flash, somebody being severely burned, dismemberment. Those types of things are very tragic, and you don't see them every day. So when you see them and actually have to be in that, then it's good, because again, you relive some of those, and you get the flashing images, and yeah, you definitely got to talk to somebody. So mindset, the mindset that let's talk about, because I was, again, I'm all for changing and getting better and not having a fixed mindset. So what kind of mindset do you have?
I'm all about growth. That's my thing, constantly failing. And this, I guess, is another truth that people don't talk about, because another one that drives me insane is risk. Like, safety is like, let's not have any risk. I'm like, whoa, y'all. Do you actually know that you have to have risk and failure for you actually to grow? So in essence, let's make sure everything's happy so that we can kind of control it, and let's not take any risk and go outside of what we may think that could be innovative and creative. And sometimes we basically box ourselves in because, and it's kind of a catch-22, a risk is not what we literally look out for them. So I think that's another one that a part of the mindset. What I always say is, I want you to fail often. I want you to fail quick, but I do want you to fail safely.
Yes. Oh, yes. And the fact that you say that often and quickly and always forward, right? You want to fail forward. You learn from those failures, right? You get a cut because you put your hand in the wrong place, and maybe I should have had my glove on. You start thinking about it, and not to do it again. But then you start watching out for other people. You start seeing that, what happened to you can possibly happen to somebody else. And that mindset, that culture leader can go out and be able to help that. So I like the growth mindset. And I know you said that in your children's school, you're starting to get that growth mindset versus we've always done it that way. Here's the book. Here's what you have to learn. They're starting to teach that at such a young age now. And I'm trying to get my daughters to understand, yes, you're going to fail. Yes, but if you fail often, trying what you love, being passionate about what you do, and fail forward, hey, you can only learn.
And I think that's so true, that people rather stay comfortable. And there's that quote that fear has stopped more people than actually risk, or whatever it may be. I can't remember the exact one. But it's that people have the fear, this fear that in the inaction that it causes. So it literally, fear is really cool because it can do a lot of things. And you usually hear the only two is fight or flight. There's actually 6 responses to it. There's fight, flight. There's actually freeze, and there's also fake. So if you have people that don't think safety is real or may go to some conspiracy theories on why you are there, they fake it. They don't care about it. Or they may care, but for them to interpret it, their body to interpret it, they want it to be not real. Hence why some people think COVID's not real. It's fake. But then there's actually two really cool ones that nobody ever talks about. It's care and connect. So fear actually can care and connect. Think right now, how many people have you got in touch with during this COVID time? Because we're all in a state of the unknown, and it's like you have heightened awareness, and I have fears like the unknown, but coming together to talk about and embrace them. So they literally can have care and connection with us. But we usually don't take the risk because we see a fear and we're going to fight or flight. And that's really something that really needs to be explored more in the safety aspect of it is how can we bring safety for people to come together?
Oh, definitely. And again, and I say newer safety professionals getting into this, and even some of us old dogs that have been around for a while, some of the, the old heads, the veterans that have been around, you can always, and you're always willing, if you're open to learn, you can be able to reach, and your growth will benefit because you're making a positive impact. Now, how do you get that? How do you mold that into a culture that might be stuck in that fixed mindset? How do we change that? What has been your experience?
I'll give an example. I had a client, they did a massive survey. They took 2 years to do the survey, they took 2 weeks to do the survey. They took almost 2 years to be able to announce it to people. But in one of our conversations, because my big thing is stress and how stress affects us. And they're like 67% of their population was stressed out. And somebody in the top suite, again, this is a Fortune 500 company, said, well, we didn't define stress.
Wow.
Say what? Like, have you walked into the plants? Have you met with any of these people? I know you like your little C-suite over here, but come walk with me, sister. Like, there is so many things that, y'all, like, and I hate to say the word common sense, but it's like, if you have any like awareness of or emotional intelligence, you can see these people are struggling. But that was one of the things I'm like, oh, fixed mindset. And it was a hard one. And I'm going to let you know, I let go of that client too, because for me, I found that was a hard lesson to learn, but I love working with amazing people. But if they have fixed mindsets, but the thing is, there are tons of people in that organization that have growth ones. There's tons. I know tons. And so that's the thing that I held on longer than I probably should have. But unfortunately, the leadership is what happens. It's from leaders first, culture second. And if your leaders do not buy into safety, if they do not buy into the things that affect it, being stressed, that's one of the ones that we talk a lot about. Sleep, actually financial, this is an interesting one. I see financial well-being actually as a safety problem. Because if anybody has done any audits, go look at your audits and look around, maybe not this year, it's a little jacked up, you say, but look around like September, October, November, December. Look at how many people are trying to get money for Christmas and see if you have additional safety incidents. Also, look at if people are starting to do multiple shifts to make more money in the increased amount. It's really cool to look at. But for mine, it's like, it's how the body works, y'all. Yeah. Like, this is how it goes. So it is an interesting thing. And I usually come from how does the body work? Because fixed mindset people typically are like, okay, I understand this is how the body works because it's science. They can understand that. So that gives it a little bit of traction, but still, if the leadership says we didn't define stress, right?
That's one thing that you're not, I mean, again, this, and it circles back to what I said early on. Your people, your culture, your workforce are your greatest assets. So why not invest just a little bit of time, get out of the office, put your boots on, put your vest on, put your hard hat on, go out to the field, go out to the plant, and interact and engage and ask, how can I help you be successful today?
Mm-hmm.
What are your needs? What do you need? Because without, sitting in an office and somebody coming to tell you, hey, the safety department needs this, or our operation line needs XYZ. No, go out there and see what you're doing. Trust, but verify. You trust everything somebody's telling you, but don't take your ass out there. And again, I'm talking to my CEOs, my operations managers, my general managers. Take your asses out to the field. I cannot put that any other way. Get up, go out to the field, get a little dirty. You can put some jeans on, put on a button up if you want to, put a vest on, and go out there. You will be much more respected going out to the field and saying, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I really do care about you guys because you guys make me what I am.
Mm-hmm.
Just my 2 cents, just saying.
No, and I don't know if there's any research on that end of it, but I think it would be really cool to see the backside of it, of people who actually do that and don't just, as I heard something the other day, it's like, let's get done with thought leaders and let's actually look at action leaders. And what we call as knowledge and action is called wisdom. So I call them wise leaders. And that's the thing is finding people that are actually doing the work and going out there, having those conversations, the tough conversations. So here's a little kicker though. We talk about go out and do the work. A lot of the times it goes to, wow, I have this amazing idea, but then it leads to like that how. Your people usually have great ideas, but then you're thinking, how do I get this above an executive level? Or how do I move this about? And I think that's a lot of the times where we come in and help on that aspect of figuring out how, because sometimes, like, think of your toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
We can have a lot of exercises and a lot of things that maybe, or trainings that may work for us, but you wouldn't use a saw on a nail. And so you wouldn't use a hammer whenever you need to cut something. Like, so we have these little things and then we do them and then they don't work. And they're like, haha, told you it didn't work. Safety's not real. So I think that's another thing that gives a little extra add, I think, is if you understand how humans work and how we're designed and flowing that in with it as well, it just, it takes it to another level.
No, and it does. And again, knowing people, engaging with people is what is going to help the bottom line. Because again, your assets, your workers are the ones that are pushing out the productive product, pushing out this good quality, gizmo that's on the line, that's coming out. All these hands that are helping, those are your assets. I'm telling you.
Yes.
Jump into some comments. Failures plant the seeds for success. Amen, Jesus. I cannot agree with you more there. Matt Lawrence, we always do a 2-minute drill before we start a job when working at a nuke plant. Again, and this is back to, the failures, and you run your 2-minute drill for those types of situations, especially in a nuke plant. I know being in a nuke plant, those things are real. You got to have certain clearance. You got certain things. So again, my man, Matt Lawrence, greatly appreciate it. Randy said, helping them succeed, i.e. and them being your workforce, your greatest assets, makes you successful.
Mm-hmm. And Randy is a great example of that too, because Randy he's an amazing guy. One of the top emotionally intelligent leaders I've ever met. And just to see him do just a little bit of work that I've got to, like, oh yes, caring for your people, you're in the people business. If you can get that, you literally can. And if your company buys into it, you can literally show results. And for us, we call it, our things is accountability, connection, and results. Mm-hmm. And I joke all the time, especially in companies that may have fixed mindsets. I easily can find you $1 million savings like that. I can easily find it for you. Or I can find you where there's probably a quality or a major stressor or preventable claim coming down the line. Yes, I did say preventable. Some things are. Because you don't talk to your people and your people don't talk to the people because in essence, you've micromanaged them and siloed them. It's not hard. be in the people business, be in the relationship business. Humans are literally created to connect.
Mhm.
I think that's shown now more than ever that we need connection. But if not, just trust me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. If anything, this year has shown us is the ability to connect with each other. It's very important that we engage, and not only just, hey, how you doing?
Mhm.
Hey, how are you doing? What can I do for you? How can I help you be successful? And I'm always out there saying that, what can I do to make your job easier? Because if I am able to make your job a little easier, that takes you from thinking and having all this weight on your shoulders. And then you're like, and now you're focused. Now you're, in the
Mhm.
zone when you need to be. And I think it's great.
And I think that touches on probably one of the other ones I want to talk about is, sorry, this is another one. Stop and think. Hear it way too often.
Yes.
Love y'all. Your people can stop, but literally, if you're stressing them out and you don't do what Pedro just said, they can't think because the stress literally cuts off their learning centers of their brain. So they're only doing things on habit. And so if something out of the norm comes, they won't be able to compensate for it. And if you highly rely on some PPEs, you're adding another layer because that's what they're focused on is I always see back strains, they always wear their back belts. Or let's think now to masks are great. But if you're compensating just for a mask and not doing some of the behavioral aspects with it, you're not really going to be helping out the situation. So I think that's one thing that people get wrong a lot of times is that stop and think again, in principle, is fantastic. But if you create a culture where they're stressed out and literally 67% of the people are not thinking and they're just doing what you tell them, you're not going to be innovative. It literally cuts that off. You can't be creative, literally cuts that off. And you will not grow, literally cuts that off. And so it's all stemming from, again, safety. So that's the reason why I think it's so important for it to be brought into the human part of the equation, which sometimes it's not. It's its own little thing just to check a box to say I'm okay with OSHA.
Mm-hmm. No, and it's engagement, being able to understand you're human beings. You're not
Mhm.
robots. You are human beings. There is a certain error factor that goes into everything that we do. Because again, we're only human. We don't know everything. And those that do know everything are millionaires living on in their big, I know I'm just joking, but not everybody knows everything. Again, you're continuously learning. So, and for those that are listening, call that X Factor hotline, 434-381-0723. Again, and I put those that are viewing right now down here on our scroll. You can ask any questions to Emily or myself. Anything that you might want to know, go ahead and call up. You'll be live right now. So I'm going to keep that up there for a little bit. So with that being said, what is your ideal candidate to work with?
One that typically has a growth mindset. But mine is where I fall in is where humanity can be impacted. So what do I mean by that? So the WISE principles is wellness, well-being, holistic well-being, intelligence, which is emotional intelligence, but also process improvement, safety, which includes psychological safety and empowerment. So those all affect the human. And so I'd say our niche is where if you screw up, it can really impact a life, i.e. die. So manufacturing, healthcare, electricity, those are really where I find myself a lot at. And then also performance. So been interesting enough, I've been really talking with a lot of professional sports because the performance stuff with it or collegiate coaches about how this works out as well. But it's where if they mess up, it's really going to could kill them, could kill somebody else, or could also hurt them financially or their identity, where it could really go into a mental case as well.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's again, those types of things need to happen, especially now And again, I dislike talking about COVID because but it's something that has been so pivotal in what we do on how we look at things. And again, you talked early on about, looking through that filtered lens or looking through that lens. Again, you have to know how to pivot, how to adjust, and what needs to be brought to the forefront. And again, like you said, the priorities shift, but bringing those priorities of bettering your people now not become priorities, they're values and core values at that, something that you live by.
I agree.
Randy said you need a culture where people can and do speak up when something doesn't look or feel right, to take the time to ask what could be wrong. I agree, Mr. Randy. I greatly appreciate that. You need to have that culture. You need to be able to go ahead and have that transparency to where they're not afraid to report something.
And I think an interesting thing that I love whenever I do audits and assessments and surveys is how many times I get sent back to me, thank you for asking me this. I've never been asked this. And of course, I'm a third party, so I'm a neutral site to be able to ask. But it's like, you've never been asked this before? Like, seriously? This is just like, hey, how can you do something better? Like, we do. I love frustration eliminations. Those are my favorite. So basically, you have a process or something that's really frustrating the whole entire group, and you just ask them, like, why is this frustrating you? And we don't attack people. We don't blame, because that ain't going to get you anything. All it's going to get you is some people mad. And then again, they're just going to be fighting. It's useless. But I think the importance, again, what he talked about is actually the aspect of psychological safety. And that's what it all comes down to. And Google's Aristotle's study actually talked about that too. Is the number one thing for effective teams is that you can come together and you can speak and you can talk about things and not get offended by it. And we are in a very offended society about a lot of things. And so again, it goes back to the thing is, why are people getting offended on, I'm asking you a question, So it's interesting.
Yeah, no, and it's the simplest questions. Like, why are you getting offended? Are you offended because I'm asking you and you have to think to respond? Are you getting offended because you feel, again, that pride? I know, in the male ego, you prideful, you're attacking my knowledge base, but at the same time, you might have seen something that I didn't. And I've gotten to the point to where I'm very open-minded now, where, somebody asked me something and I'm like, I didn't see it that way. Maybe you seen something that I didn't. And that's where that zoom in, zoom out, you see everything at floor level, and then you take a step back and look at it from a 10,000 foot view, what, could possibly happen.
And I think too, is looking through the lens of empathy as well. And in the aspect of, I may not be able to totally understand what people are thinking or how they got to some of their processes, but can I find one little thing of empathy for them so that I can hear them out and then have that compassion? And I think that's important too, because what I found is a lot of people talk about things, but they're not really talking about things, if that makes sense. So people have proverbial mask over themselves and they hide who, again, reason why I have the podcast I do, Unapologetically Bold. It's because people, they cover themselves up. They don't want to be them true selves. And they have this conflict between homework and play. And then here we are. I'm asking you to do this assignment and you blow up on me. Say, what? There's something else, and having the empathy to understand, but you got to know your people too.
Yeah, and again, being empathetic doesn't mean you're going to go out there and hug everybody.
I will.
Yeah, I get virtual hugs right now going around from Emily to everybody.
Yes. As Nathan says, I'm going to touch you. So.
But again, you go out and become empathetic by just listening to people. You find that empathy and become empathetic to your workforce, to the people, and what are they going through? You don't know what they're going through. You don't know if they just had a divorce, if they lost a loved one, you don't know what's going on through their mind. So if you are able to go out and, you know, ask those questions and become empathetic and, embrace people,
Mhm.
then they start to open up. They start to, just like a flower, they start to open up and bloom and blossom into this great, successful individual, which then you can set off into the world, and they become now, and I like to use the phrase haters to likers
Yes.
for the simple fact that those people that hate safety, that do not like it, you turn them around and become your safety committee, who are then they're not safety cops, they're safety champions, because they're out there helping you and driving your culture and your workforce. Again, just my 2 cents. This is just what we're talking about here.
No, I love it. And I actually have a quick story on that and I think I said it in Jay's show. I can't remember, but whenever I found out I was doing the things I was doing wrong is whenever I had somebody come to me and said, "Oh, you're still here. Why are you still here? I thought you should be gone by now." I'm like, oh, my people pleasing heart just broke. I'm like, you can't hate me. I'm like, I try to be nice and make everybody happy. Da 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 da. And then I'm like, oh, well, shoot. I didn't treat people like humans. I didn't do the things out of new work. This was in the wellness side. I literally just lined them up, had them check boxes, and I have cows. So basically did the same thing with our cows. We prodded and poked them, and we said, you may be a little bit overweight here. Oh, you need to eat your vegetables, or da 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 da, things that they definitely already knew because they were in the healthcare industry. And it took me a year before that person, I came back to her and she goes, "Oh, I love you." I'm like, "Do you remember when you told me that you hated me?" She goes, "Well," I was like, "It's okay. You should have hated me."
Yeah.
The stuff that we did was not right. And so I think that's another thing is be aware of people that tell you no.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important, very, very important for people to be very open-minded to that aspect as well.
Yeah, definitely. And again, and the reason why I use that phrase haters to likers, because again, people are gonna hate on you, people are gonna dislike you, they're not gonna always agree with you, but when you start breaking those layers like an onion, you peel them back, you cry a little bit, you're like, damn, is it gonna get better? And then you throw it, in some batter and deep fry it, and it's a good onion blossom. And then, but you are able to peel back those layers and actually dig deep and find out this person isn't really that bad. And they find out, hey, the safety guy or safety gal really isn't that bad. We can get along. And then they become some of your best advocates and enthusiasts on pushing your message and your culture forward.
Oh, yeah.
So Matt Lawrence, they get offended because they think they did nothing wrong, and you may just want to ask them something and they did nothing wrong. And that's really what it is. And again, Jesus, 3 magic words that work for me. Tell me more. Amen. Amen. Shane, what's going on? Shane, how are you, brother? And then they're over there on the LinkedIn chat, chatting it up.
Awesome. I do want to note just one thing real quick about what Matthew said is that they get offended on that. And so here's the thing. Sometimes people get offended and we think it's about their ego, but it may be about other things. I deal with perfectionism. I say I'm a recovering perfectionist that fails daily. So it is something with wanting to be perfect, which again can be related to ego. But then others, it might be that they can't think of the right answer right then at times. So there's different things that what we do is we ask them is what is something that you need to embrace about your humanity that's making you kind of get offense right this now, or what's making you happen. So common ones are humans are not perfect. I feel like we have to, or humans are not predictable. If we embrace some of these, or humans will make mistakes and they will let you down, or humans can do things that sometimes is against what values are. Like, these are a part of humanity. We all struggle with it. Everybody struggles with it, but some struggle with more. So yes, at times they get offended because they think that they did nothing wrong, but it also could be a deeper issue that you're attacking their pride, you're attacking their safety, you're attacking their self-worth, you're attacking so much more. So I think that that's an interesting comment. But yes, thank you, Matthew, for putting that up there, because it a lot of the times it does happen that way.
Oh yeah. And Saint said that he had some LinkedIn issues, wouldn't let me on. I know LinkedIn's been acting kind of funny lately due to the stories and the way stuff and the new algorithm. I don't know. It's weird. So, Emily, we greatly appreciate you. Nobody called in. It's okay. We'll have another go at it, sometime. Oh, homegirl Brittany. Love the pink ribbon. Got to put it in there. It's October. I didn't have any other ones, but and I'm fixing to get off the radio station. So those that are listening to the radio, we greatly appreciate Emily for being here. We greatly appreciate you guys. And again, y'all know where to find us at. Ask yourself that one question: what is your X factor? Till next time, we'll see you later. So. Sorry, I had to get off the air to stay on the air. But no, and everything is live. So any last words that you want to give, any good words of advice that you want to put out there to the world on how to be unapologetically bold, not sorry for?
I think just one thing I do want to touch on that we didn't, because we kind of went to a lot of like deep and dark stuff. One thing that I think that we miss, or that I want to just end on, is that safety can be fun. And I think that's important for people to not forget that, especially if you're doing things that some people might be resistant to. Mm-hmm. Add some fun in it. You can have challenges, you can have those things. But what I always talk about is I love to hunt. I'm a big hunter. I'm sorry for anybody that likes PETA. Yeah. I love to hunt. And so, but the thing is that we help on an upland preserve. And one of my favorite things to do is to have people come in and shoot clays. To some people, that is the most unsafe thing that you could ever do. For me, that is the best teaching tool about safety. Mm-hmm. Because in an environment where everything could go wrong, should go wrong, we're very diligent and we bring awareness to it, but we bring fun. So I've been doing upland preserve, doing quail shoots, pheasant shoots for years. I've never seen anybody get killed. I've seen one guy have a stray, well, basically the buckshot, and he got asked to leave just because he was a Southernism of bless your heart. He shouldn't have been on there. Yeah. But those are things that I think that are extremely important for people to think to end on is, hey, let's make safety fun. Let's make it engaging, because that's the thing about being unapologetically bold is if we bring funness, if we bring what I call hotness, so humble, open, and transparency to it, and we just do it together, like it's going to be amazing. And it's going to be worth it, and people actually see the value and get the value. Oh yeah, definitely. And again, that's what we try to do. We try to make safety, especially me. And somebody asked this question yesterday. How do you make some of the trainings and stuff that you're doing in the safety world fun, and entertaining and engaging? That's what you have to do. You figure it out. Figure what ask your people. You're going to ask them, hey, what do you like to learn about? How do you want to learn? And that way you're able to then say, okay, well, let's try it this way. If it doesn't work, it's not a failure. We tried it, and now we're just going to pivot and do something else. Mm-hmm. Brittany said, great chat, y'all. Safety can be fun. She does agree. And bless your heart. Bless your heart. LOL. And again, those that were in the chat that have been here watching, we greatly appreciate you tuning in, listening to us rant and rave about these bold truths that need to be talked about. So again, let everybody know where they can reach you at. How do they get a hold of you? What is the best way to reach Emily? So I am best on LinkedIn. So you can find me at Emily Elrod MHS on there. But also you can go to my company's website. It's called Workzbe, WORKZBE. You can always see them there, or just send me an email or DM me. Actually, just DM me on LinkedIn because I'm going to tell you my emails thread. I'm trying, y'all.
Yeah. No, and give everybody your saying down at the bottom of your email. Your
Oh, yes. For anybody that gets an email from me, though, it will always say this, and said this for years. It says the kiss of death is to be the genius with 10,000 helpers. Instead, be the genius with 10,000 geniuses. And the role around that and the goal around that is that everybody has worth. Everybody has something to give to you. You just have to see where their spark of genius is. And that's your role as a leader.
Nice. And again, thank you, Brittany. Not Brittany. I'm sorry. I was looking at her comment, Emily, for blessing us with your presence, taking time out to be here. I know everybody that was watching, has been watching, that was listening on the radio, got something out of it. So you guys know where to reach me at. X Factor, Safety, everything except Twitter. Again, X Factor hotline. Now that I know how to get people to call in and be able to chat, that's going to be cool to these live streams. And again, this platform and what we do here is for you, the audience, the listener. We try to make it entertaining. We try to, bring value to you. So greatly appreciate everybody that was here. Luis Zaragoza, thank you for tuning in. He's one of the Facebook likes. Everybody that was in here, Matt, Lawrence, Jesus, Mr. Nathan Bennett, Nate Brayman, greatly appreciate it. Mr. Carvel, we greatly appreciate it. Brittany, thank you for tuning in. So without further ado, you know what it is. Y'all know where to reach me. Ask yourself that one question. What's your X factor? Until next time, we'll see you later.